Who was Luke's first lightsaber trainer? Though passionate about the Order and its history, Luke Skywalker actually had little Jedi training, especially with a lightsaber. A few sessions against the Marksman-H Combat Remote on the Millennium Falcon may have helped him foster his force powers, but for all his willingness and courage, the former farm boy needed lightsaber training. So when thrust into a battle arena to fight for the pleasure of Grakkus the Hutt on Nar Shaddaa, just a few days after his heroic takedown of the Death Star, Luke wasn't expecting to find someone so instrumental to his Jedi future, his first teacher in lightsaber dueling. However, this helping hand would come in the form of a villain. Let's start at the beginning. The sun beat down upon the open-air arena, so much so that even the sand was burning with anticipation as Luke stared into the eyes of his mysterious hooded opponent, making himself known to Luke as the Game Master. The figure was ready to battle. In one hand he held a lightsaber, and soon he would train Luke in the art. But the figure was ready for a lot more than that. Secretly an undercover sergeant of the Imperial Army, the shady enemy was actually named Creel. His true mission behind being on Nar Shaddaa was not to train Luke, yet, more directly to serve as master, Darth Vader. Deep undercover and in the trust of Grakkus the Hutt, Creel was sent to the planet to uncover the Hutt's massive collection of Jedi artifacts, which had been prohibited ever since Palpatine had taken power. The Hutt had secretly acquired them in the years since the fall of the Jedi Order. The Hutt was not only a crime overlord, but a lover of combat sports. He ran a gladiatorial arena, where Creel oversaw matches. Arena combat wasn't new to Creel. Having witnessed murder from a very early age on his home planet of Shaggar 9, Creel even lost his own mother to a battle in an arena fight. Soon, on a steady diet of violence enabled by his surroundings, the young radical took to revenge by murdering the arena workers and eventually competed within the fighting pits as a way of life. As the age of the Empire began to draw on his homeworld, Creel's appetite for violence was fed through a different channel. Though the Imperials shut down the arenas, when of age, the orphan fighter was conscripted into the Stormtrooper Corps not long after. His violent tendencies paid off. He was promoted to sergeant in the 501st Legion, serving directly under the Sith Lord and the Emperor's right-hand man, Lord Vader. Eventually, his service would lead him straight to Luke. The undercover mission on the smuggler planet was of no stress to the warrior. Skilled in fighting through many different forms, Creel took to many lightsabers on offer by Grakkus quickly. And backed by repurposed Magna Guards on the grounds of the arena on Nar Shaddaa, he fit in well. Though an initial enemy of Luke's, under the guise of the Game Master, Creel was someone else. He was a teacher, a trainer, and in many ways, a master to the young Jedi. He passed on all that he could to the young Padawan in the brief time they had together. At times, enjoying his role as a mentor, but at others, unable to forget how much he hated the Jedi, and therefore Luke. Considering this, it could have been hard for Creel to contain his true self. While training Luke, his inner anger could almost be seen seething beneath the surface of his hooded exterior, but he kept it together. His treatment of Luke was still harsh. On their first meeting, he taunted the young rebel, clearly pointing out that he was not a Jedi and the Order was in tatters, even pointing out that the former temple on Coruscant was now the Imperial Palace. Yet he gave Luke hope. Though making it clear the odds were stacked against him, Creel harnessed Luke's hope and eagerness to learn. Creel knew of the deep importance it had to him. Even though this training was primarily for Grakkus' pleasure, he knew, as the Game Master, Luke had to trust him. The training was brutal. Creel was the most incredible swordsman he had ever met. In their duels, Luke was more or less always on his back foot. When he channeled his inner force powers and previous training, he was still beat down. Remember, Creel was preparing Luke for combat in the arena, and in there, the young Jedi wouldn't be fighting Creel. In fact, it would be a beast of Grakkus' choice, to give the audience an entertaining death, ideally Luke's death. And even though Creel was an undercover Imperial spy, a die-hard supporter of the Empire, and someone who wanted nothing more than for all past, present, and future Jedi to perish, he felt something towards Luke. Perhaps it was the bond of a teacher and a student. As Luke's time to fight in the arena drew closer and closer, Creel began to voice his concerns to Grakkus the Hutt, unusual for such a brutal Imperial soldier. While standing with his boss, Grakkus the Hutt, Creel complained that the beast Luke would face in the arena was too great a match. Even for a full-fledged Jedi, Creel thought the creature, known as Congo the Disemboweler, would be too powerful. Despite his hatred of the Rebel Alliance and tendency for violence, could Creel be secretly on Luke's side? He didn't know the Jedi in training was a member of the Rebel Alliance, at least not at this point. He filled Luke's head with the idea that if he trained right, he could save the Jedi Order, or at least die trying. His persona as Luke's first lightsaber trainer, the Game Master, was presenting a very different side to the violent Imperial spy, one that was a little bit too believable as a Jedi sympathizer. Either way, though it was unorthodox, this training provided Luke with numerous skills he'd taken to his life as a Jedi Knight. A culmination of training with Creel, Master Kenobi, and Master Yoda would mold him into the savior of the Jedi Order after all. Still, Skywalker had a long, long way to go. Creel, being an undercover agent, was somewhat unorthodox in nature. Though he would go on to fight against the Rebel Alliance in the Galactic Civil War, his lightsaber training with Luke was immeasurably helpful. Equal parts brutal, equal parts constructive, the Imperial agent had helped in ways he could never know, but may experience again down the line.